WhatIfAltHist, who has a gigantic audience, is very likely going through an episode of psychosis, triggered by taking ayahuasca and an herbal medicine called kratom.
Ayahuasca basically fried my brain.
If you don't know who I'm talking about, WhatIfAltHist is one of the largest history/politics channels on YouTube, with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. This guy started off, by the way, making alternate history videos. Then he transitioned to politics and geopolitics. Recently, he released a 10-hour, 3-part autobiography in which he discusses, among some pretty horrible and unfortunate things about his childhood, that he can now commune with the spirit world, has spoken with Odin and other deities, and that God is now commanding him to basically create a new religion. He has established what is basically a cult that is trying to further explore this spirit world. This is not a joke. I'll show you the clips of him saying it himself. WhatIfAltHist has legitimately lost his mind. I'm not even making fun of him, something I've done before for his insane political views. I honestly and completely feel very bad for him as a human being. Nobody deserves to literally lose their mind. Again, this video is not making fun of him. This is not a joke. Don't go looking for personal information. Don't harass him. When WhatIfAltHist realized everyone was responding negatively to his psychotic episode, he literally tried to play it off as a joke. He's trying to backtrack. That's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. I don't know what the best path for him is because I'm not a medical doctor, but he needs substantial medical intervention immediately. He needs medication. He needs something better than a gigantic audience on YouTube. I don't need to tell you that delusions of grandeur, delusions that God himself is commanding you to establish a new religion, and multiple videos about a coming armed revolution, together with a gigantic audience and ownership of weapons.
I also collect, I got 2 guns. I got an assault rifle and I got the pistol, the one that I'm forgetting the exact name. It's a good pistol. Police use it.
Is an extremely dangerous combination. He already has the beginnings of a cult, which he calls the Organization of the Crimson Dragon. This is what, why, how, and this video is about why WhatIfAltHist needs to be institutionalized immediately before he harms anyone. If you want to support my channel, you can do so at patreon.com/whatwhyhow. The more support I have, the more videos I can make calling out people like WhatIfAltHist who use their giant platforms, their 700,000 subscribers, to lie about history, and in this case at least, to spread a dangerous cult as well. Anyways, I'm writing this script the day after Christmas, soon after WhatIfAltHist sent off this tweet. Hi everyone, I have to tell you folks something. I am a quite advanced mystic, and am capable of communicating with the spirit world. If you wonder why I know so much and am so successful at the age of 23, this is part of the reason. I have a photographic memory, and have used this to have hundreds of hours of communication with different spiritual forces, whether God, the devil, Mother Nature, Hermes Trismegistus, the anima, and many more. That also includes Odin, who you'll see later in the clips I'm going to show, is commanding him to do things. He says that he has a pretty good map of the spirit world. The Lord God and the Tree of Life, which is the spirit of consciousness connected to you by blood through evolution, are forcing me against my own consent to intervene in the game now. I really did not want to do this, but God forced my hand. I did this since I was concerned we'd all die as a society if I don't, and I'm young enough, I'm invested. This tweet comes after 2 videos which add up to about 6 hours, which I listened to at 2 times speed, so you don't have to. Then he released a 3rd part which is 4 hours long, so that's about 10 hours of rambling. Anyways, I'll summarize the videos so you don't have to watch them. In part 1, WhatIfAltHist immediately reveals the first and last names of his family members. In case you don't know, and this is public information, his name is Rudyard Lynch.
I'm Rudyard Lynch. Please treat me as Rudyard Lynch.
But unlike him, I'm not gonna reveal the names of his own family members who are private citizens. Don't harass them, don't harass him, just leave everyone alone. Probably best to just avoid him completely. I don't know if he's just a naturally incautious person, but the fact that he's so willing to reveal personal information in turn reveals something about where his head is now, which is in a drug-induced mental episode. Anyways, in part 1 of this video series, WhatIfAltHist talks about his family history, his grandparents, his school, and his abusive upbringing. His mother very clearly had schizophrenia, which got worse after she was kicked in the head by a horse.
Both of my parents nearly died before I turned 6. My dad was from mercury poisoning, we spoke about that before, and my mom was kicked in the head by a horse. My mom, after she nearly died, said that she had visited God. She said that God had forced her to come back to help people. This resulted in her immediately divorcing my father. My mom wanted us to all sleep in the same bed as a family, and my dad refused. I ran out of the bed, and then my dad spanked me. My mom then took my sister and me out of school and took me away from my dad's custody.
So next he talks about how his mother took custody of him and his sister, keeping them from his father by moving them from place to place and convincing the courts that his father was the abusive one. He adds,
and the worst he ever did was he spanked me twice. However, my mom is a literal schizophrenic that has different internal monologues which conflict with the other. She had no evidence at all for the claim and is mentally ill. She passed the Chester County test for not being mentally ill. And if my mom doesn't score mentally ill on a test, your test's broken. And on top of that, my mom really spiraled with getting kicked in the head by a horse. She had issues beforehand, and then it became magnified. And her entire life since that has been a downward spiral towards greater and greater madness as she loses touch with the world.
He talks about this more in the second part of the video series, but his mother was extremely abusive. The worst possible stuff you can imagine. I'm not going to talk about that here. It's honestly an extremely horrific situation, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone in the world. Schizophrenia, which his mother definitely had, is inheritable, however. It usually appears in someone's mid-20s. WhatIfAltHist is 23. Since we're talking about the issue, WhatIfAltHist points out how the institutions we've created whose purpose it is to prevent things like this, his abuse, from happening, failed completely, letting the abuse continue. The reason I bring this up is because mental illness is a major and growing issue in the United States, and it seems like no authority is really doing anything about it. I don't really have the power to change this. I'm just pointing this out as a major issue in this country. Anyways, he says that he only really started making progress on moving past and uncovering his childhood trauma through eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is a form of psychotherapy, and through ayahuasca. For those who don't know, ayahuasca is a traditional psychedelic drug administered by faith healers in South America. Over the past decades, it has gradually become more and more popular, especially among tourists. Here are some highlights of WhatIfAltHist's ayahuasca experience, and this is like multiple hours. I'm just cutting the craziest parts.
I suffered physical pain in hell you can't even imagine in your worst nightmares. The worst pain you could ever imagine is barely at all what hell could be. I had demons torturing me, ripping my flesh apart. My entire body was viscerally on fire in a way where every atom screamed with the most horror it could feel at once without dying in that instant. You have no concept of how much I have suffered and how long I have spent in hell. I spent something like over 80% of my time in ayahuasca in the spirit world in hell. It was truly a terrible experience in which my concept of time was stretched out, so I spent an infinity of time in hell. I think consciously there's still a part of me that's there stuck in infinity. I spent dozens of hours speaking to the devil. I don't even dislike him at this point. Much like my mother, he's so evil he kind of circles back around, where I realize he's just a wolf hunting sheep. The devil was quite civil with me and polite. He said that I didn't belong in hell, that under normal circumstances I wouldn't be there and I had to pay a cosmic debt for my bloodline. After I paid the debt, I could go back and change my life. I was stuck in this mental loop that was killing me. The mental loop was the idea that since consciousness programs reality, that because I perceive myself to be in hell, I would be stuck in hell forever, in all of eternity. I later realized this is the evil loop, or the closed circuit, which lacks humility or the evidence of the outside world, and allows the rationalizing of the greatest evils. The end point of Nazi Germany and communism is from the closed rationalistic loop. And this is the origin of atrocity and totalitarianism. This happened multiple times in a row, in multiple nights in a row. Damn, I can't believe it's still hot in Texas in December. But back to ayahuasca, I felt the weight of history on my shoulders. I felt the choices I made would determine the lives of billions of people in the future. I felt in every inch of my body the desire to reject the responsibility. But then God said, I know you won't do that because you care about people and you know that this is your duty. God told me it was my duty to found a religion and that in the process of trying to not found a religion, I would do so anyway. He said that I never consented to this, but that my bloodline did for me. He said that my sense of honor was seen as a cosmic force to him in its own right. I also spoke to God when I was on ayahuasca. I hate to say it, but I suspect for some of you it might be the Lord of Lies, dressing in Yahweh's garb to tell you further lies. And he is like seeing a million suns crash together at once. Our mortal brains cannot comprehend his excellence and scale. He's more similar to a Lovecraftian monster, all things considered, than to the God mainline churches preach about. Yahweh's power is so enormous you would find it to be horrifying. He demands your loyalty with every fiber of your being. He is an irresistible force of gravity which sucks you in, for he is the only thing that has ever truly existed. I could see into the mind of God, and I saw it as divine clouds. It's the great mist of consciousness in which all things happen. The mind of God is all human experience lived at once, with each moment being a beautiful choice with a tapestry of such awesome beauty, you can't help but thank him for the extreme wonder and horror of it. The great chain of being may stretch down to hell, but by its very nature, it leads fundamentally to heaven. Higher forms beat lower forms, thus meaning evolution guides us to be more like God. He said that my decision-making and conscience would come to understand all 9 worlds of the Tree of Life, that I would gain a sort of connection to the anima mundi, or the experience of lived consciousness itself, so I could empathize with the human condition itself. He said this would be my great gift to humanity, showing us the whole tree of human experience so that we could love each other for our differences. I saw hell below and realized it powered heaven and all the worlds between. When I looked down upon the suffering of hell and I asked God, how do you do it? He said, don't stare down too much, lest they drag you down there for no one's gain. You shouldn't take the spirit world that seriously. A lot of it's deception, and I think frequently of Lord of the Rings, and I'm an empiricist, I say this crap, you're here to disprove it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll change my ideas if they're incorrect. But I saw AIs grow so advanced it's impossible to distinguish from reality, and that we would upload our souls onto some kind of spiritual cloud. I saw that I would start to perceive consciousness differently. Finally, I saw I would live in a time where the dance of life would stop, where men and women would stop mating with each other. I saw that it was my duty to fight against this. I saw that when I was talking to the shaman while I was tripping, and she said, Rudyard, I see your destiny is to stand for men since the feminine has been kicking them around. There's a few hilarious details I have to throw in here. The first is that the first form God came to me in is as a Zoomer bro, because he said that that was the form I best understood, and the way you interact with the spirit world is a two-way process, where when you perceive the spirit world, there's semen. And so when I was talking to God, God said, I can only explain the world to you. And he was doing this in Zoomer slang, by the way, like yo, bussin', no cap, cringe, whatever. God did not say those words, but that's the kind of vibe. And for example, and when I met God, I first spoke to him, I said, because the line between madness and sanity will grow very, very thin. And it's my responsibility to get my people through the halls of time. And free will and predestination are both the exact same in that God sees over time. I imagined myself as a woman giving birth. I felt such horror and compassion. I found that the ancient Egyptian philosophy called Hermeticism had an almost identical similarity to what I saw of the spirit world. When I was on ayahuasca, my overwhelming first impression was that the Platonic archetypes and Carl Jung were completely accurate. I just saw the archetypes. Peterson was right to say a short answer. Ayahuasca basically fried my brain. I'm still shocked at how deranged I was. What's the point of living if you're not going hard? As you'll see later in the story, I can be psychotically brave. I had stood before multiple gods. This shocked them. They couldn't believe a mortal had done this. And they said, mortal, how did you do this? Merrick took care of me for 2 weeks in my vegetal state. For the time after ayahuasca, I felt as if the spirit and physical world had been so intermeshed as I could see one spilling into the other in active time. I could see the Platonic archetypes manifest in the physical world, while I saw the connection between all of things. And I saw that everything is fundamentally an extension of all things. So when you see one thing, you are seeing the fundamental nature of all things. And that may sound like BS, but it's still true. I couldn't sleep one night, which was too horribly going to become my new normal for the next few years. At 2 a.m., I felt the divine will move through me. That longhand script I wrote later became the video for the manifesto of the new right. Almost everything in that video is dictated to me by God. And on top of that, the greatest need of our time being decentralization. Watch the video if you're interested.
Okay, so as he says, ayahuasca basically fried his brain. He already had severe childhood trauma and a risk of mental illness, but clearly through ayahuasca he has suffered a psychotic break with reality. This has been documented in other people before. Psychedelic drugs can cause this. All the things he described actually seem unfortunately pretty normal for ayahuasca use. After scrolling through r/ayahuasca to see others' experience with the drugs, dozens of people had basically identical experiences of uncovering childhood trauma and believing you are talking with God and that you have a new spiritual purpose to spread a new religion. That's what the drug does. Here are some highlights of the new WhatIfAltHist ayahuasca religion, which is basically just medieval hermeticism combined with WhatIfAltHist's usual right-wing complaints about the modern world. Basically, he thinks Odin and God have sent him on a mission to spread this religion, but we'll let him explain it himself.
Any government or organization which hurts the God killer, harasses him in public or his friends or his family or in his home, will be destroyed and cursed by the tree of life within a single generation. He doesn't want to hurt you or cause any trouble, so there's no reason to test this. Just leave him alone. The cracking of the self-other distinction into realizing we are yet the same and yet nothing and yet the same and yet the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius has officially started. Welcome to the age of Aquarius, motherfuckers. Odin was very attached to that sentence. He kept on trying to get me to say it like a dozen times. Rudyard reset how you process consciousness, and so things are going to get really crazy from here. We won't tell you what will happen next. I can channel, where when I touch this wood, I'm pulling energy from the wood. Knock on wood. When I pull from the air, I can feel the force of the air. And I feel happy when I can have life force. My strongest ability is the ability to use life force, and it's how I relate to you. It's how I made this video. It's how I communicate with my audience. It's how I communicate with the past. And so when I talk to someone, I can feel you. And I can feel all around you. I can feel your body. And I can feel inside of you. And I feel so deeply and intensely resentful that I was forced to do this, that I'm going to force you to listen to me. I'm trying my best. I'm an empiricist. I am empirically telling you what I have heard from the spirit world. I'm empirically telling you this crap, because I don't fucking know. I don't know if any of this shit's true. I'm just gonna feed this to you. God. Yeah, but I don't want to be married to you people. I was forced in an arranged marriage by a god to be responsible for you fuckers. But I hate you so much. Your entire social structure was built to shit on me for my entire life. You people have been so aggressively mean to me for literally no reason, and you fucking shit on all my peers, and it's not okay. It was never okay. You completely betrayed your own children. Our parents' generation, they were eating their own children. And they didn't care because they were so rich and so lazy that they thought they were God. And they weren't. They were fucking idiot mortals who fucking got stupider. And so I need to tell you exactly how I feel. Because if I'm forced to be responsible for you guys, we have to establish clear and articulate boundaries. You guys just fucking lied to me, so a god had to tell me all this bullshit. I had 1,000 pages of lore dropped on me because you fucking lie about literally everything in the world. Everything you say is a lie. I can't stand it. I know it now, and I'm sharing it with you because I can't fucking take this bullshit anymore. And you're fucking trying to screw us over and trick us, and you lie to us all the time. You have the fucking gall. You are horrible people. You are all horrible people. And now here we are. I'm fucking talking to God, and I'm giving you a message. And I never asked for this. This was shit that was fucking shoved on me. I was a kid. I knew what was problems. Because of my empathic abilities, I can sense them a mile away. This is why I hang out after midnight. Because just modernity, I can't stand modernity. You're so fucking loud all the time. You never shut the fuck up, and nothing you say is ever useful. Nothing you say is of any meaning or any value. I stopped watching YouTube. I stopped watching TV. I stopped listening to new music. Why would I listen to you? If I could read Will Durant, if I could read The Brilliant, because I love you, but I also really, really hate you. You have been so mean to me that I am going to, and I'm now responsible for you. Do you understand? Odin is a horrible person. He's forcing me to do this. He forced me, after I hate you, to be responsible for you now. And I just need to keep things real, because if I don't keep things real, I'm not going to do this job. Look. So, I was forced by a fucking god to do this. I didn't want to do this. Ruined my life in the last few years with your leftist ad blockade. I was going to be rich and famous, and then society fell apart. I had no opportunity. I never asked to do this. This was my hand was forced. And my other choice is going back to hell and dying. So this is why I did this. I didn't want to do this. I was forced to do this. And you need to understand that. And I feel such cosmic levels of resentment that they pour through me, where I'm British, I am American, I am a Pennsylvanian, I am a Christian, I am a fucking wizard or whatever this video is. I'm Rudyard Lynch. Please treat me as Rudyard Lynch. If I get bothered when I walk around, I am going to go legitimately crazy. Sometimes when I get stoned or do ayahuasca, I can hear the electrical circuits in a house. I can hear the electricity buzz. And modern civilization is so fucking loud. How does it not drive people crazy? It's fucking annoying as hell. It's always noise, and it's so loud, and it's so tiring, and it's so exhausting. Because I always have to listen to this. And it's fucking demon sounds. The sounds your engines make are not the sounds of life. They are the sounds of the crushing of former life force. And this is why the age of the machine is such a demonic age. And if you read the ancient esoteric tradition, Lucifer, emotional jabbering, is nothing of quality gets done. And so, various powerful people in the world, I don't want to hurt you. How do I phrase this? I do this to change frequencies and how I process the world, because I process the world in sound to basically change. And so I change sound frequencies in order to figure out how I process. Yeah, what you're doing to Zoomers is you believe your woke bullshit is moralistic. I'm glad I said this, because this video is the end point of so much work I've done, and I know, even if I died today, I lived a life that I can be proud of. I gotta throw this subplot in here, where I am a sorcerer, and sorcerers and witches hate each other, because we're very different, and you might not realize that. I practice, ironically, I am a white magician who practices right-hand magic. It was pretty obvious. And so I am a white right-wing magician. Latin word sinister, or untrustworthy. And left-hand magic was magic built off taking from others, and it's left hemisphere power-based magic where you have to siphon energy off from others. And then right-handed magic is magic that helps you have a positive experience. I can feed off your energy, and thus for strategic reasons, I need to make sure you have good vibes so I can feed off them to make me better off. And right-hand magic, magic that comes from God, left-hand magic, magic that comes from the devil, is just ridiculous. My dad's autistic, I'm not. And I really dislike how all the criticism of me, none of it's just factually true. People call me a schizophrenic, Nazi, incel, far-right, loser, nerd. I mean, like, you guys aren't even trying. There's stuff to criticize. The Jews have a really powerful connection to the spirit world, so they're susceptible to both the positives and the negative sides of this. The most powerful, both white and black magicians are often Jews. So the way I commune with the divine is I take CBD and then I text Merrick, and I go through my texts with Merrick to figure out when I'm in a trance, and I'm kind of in a trance now. So you're getting this from the source. Man, I hate ironing my shirt. And then Rudyard is tapping into a Northwest European mysticism developed by a figure named Odin who lived in the Bronze Age. He'll talk more about that later. So, what was I talking about? Odin, or Hermes Trismegistus, is the lord of how to get from one of these. So Hermes wanders around, and Odin is a sub-Norse variant of from your current suicidal state. He tells you how to get around closer to God. So that's kind of our goal. And Hermes is an ally of God because he moves forms up. The devil moves forms down. And what I am showing you is a relatively sane and scientific vision of the world. You have positive and negative life charge. And with the double helix, what that means is that you... Sorry, I just thought I saw something. What that means is that basically upper-class white men made a deal with the god Hermes. We've established Isaac Newton, Look at this symbol in the US Leibniz, and the coeptus novus ordo secularum. Because I am a Viking Quaker, where I support being armed so that people don't fuck with you, but then not fucking with others. So... I state before the Lord God and Hermes that I now have sealed the contract in the Blue Room. You have my official guarantor in front of the public and my official signing that my contract is now closed. I am officially a public servant of the Blue Room. Done. Oh God. I am Rudyard William Lynch, the man who killed a god.
Okay, so WhatIfAltHist is trying to establish a mystery cult in which he can promise the secrets of salvation if only you listen to his 10-hour-long unstructured rants. I don't know whether his insanity will destroy his cult or recruit a larger audience of fellow mentally unstable Zoomers and LA YouTube failsons. In any case, this should go without saying, cults are bad. Everything WhatIfAltHist has said is purely based on drug-induced delusions. There is no Odin, there is no Hermes Trismegistus, there's no spirit world that you can commune with by taking psychedelic drugs. There is no substance to any of this. There is no substantial meaningful message out of it. Besides vague assertions, and this is the lesson of his religion, the vague assertions that taking responsibility is good for you and you should be nice to other people. But we already have that information, we already know that, so what new thing is he bringing to the table? Nothing. There's no true substance, it's just insanity, it's just a personality cult for WhatIfAltHist all the way down. So what are we left with after all of this? WhatIfAltHist hates you, he loves you, he's armed, unstable, he says he's sane but he's definitely not, he's probably a danger to himself and others. I don't know what to do about this, I'm just a history YouTube channel. Really the only thing I can do is warn people who watch this video to be aware of the fact that he's gone insane. In case you watch any of his YouTube videos, that's probably why he's saying strange things. I think everyone should just move past his YouTube channel, he should move past his YouTube channel, he should retire, he should become a grocery store clerk, and most importantly, he needs medical intervention. There's treatments for this sort of stuff, you just have to actually seek it out. I know he's not watching this, but hopefully he does so anyways. For the people on YouTube who do watch WhatIfAltHist, just look elsewhere for historical information and for meaning in your life. You're not going to find it with him. Just read a book, actually. Books are pretty good. Anyways, WhatIfAltHist needs to seek immediate medical help. That's all I have to say. If you want to support videos condemning cults and insanity like this one, you can do so at patreon.com/whatwhyhow. Thanks to those who already do. User SEQ, Marklin, Sheba, Caliber, Lehan Whale, Goblin, Lily, 7-Zip, Lars, Vantachromia, Jared, Omega, Quincy Dionisio, Benjamin, Basit, Mimo, Sam, Ab, Dreher, Channel 101, Freddy, Party, South Africa, Help Africa, Aaron, Gentle, Trudeau, Kenshi, Sammy, Nevron, Abac, Jude, Jackson, Joao, Sawyer, Landon, Something, Nikita, Jeffrey, Stonewall, Jay, Charles, Homer, and Robert. Thanks and adios.